We're going to be working with the sales on account this lesson, and that means that we are building our accounts receivable ledger. And so accounts receivable is when someone else owes us money. We're going to learn how to record the sales on the sales journal. So let's go ahead and look at this. We receive an item from a merchandise, and it's called, the amount we receive is the selling price. There is a markup, which is what the amount you're going to set in there above what it costs you to either buy or make. And then the accounts receivable ledger is a subsidiary ledger that contains all the charges for customers. And it's going to keep track of all the information for those in one single location. And so just like we did with the accounts payable ledgers, we're going to be looking at it for the accounts receivable. And so we have all our different accounts. They're going to go into receivable ledger, and then that's just basically going to create a single account where we keep track of it. But each individual person has their own little account. And so like Skinner College, they have their own account that says they owe $3,000. But it's also going to go over to our accounts receivable in a similar way with all that information. Sales tax is something we're really experienced with here in Texas. We have sales tax on anything that's not food. The only people that do not, there are some companies and some ways that you do not have to pay sales tax. If you're a government entity, you do not have to pay sales tax. And so like when the school goes and buys something, it's not sales taxed. And so watch for that, because some things are not taxed. But for most things, you're going to have to sales tax. And so our sales journal is a special journal to record only sales for merchandise on the account. You're going to have your sales journal on the page number at the top. You put your date, the account debited. Oops, sorry, go back. The sale number, the accounts receivable debit. This is going to be your total. Sales credit is how much the bill was before tax, and the sales tax payable is going to be the amount of sales tax. These two, columns 2 and 3, are going to add together to give you the balance for number 1. Sometimes, if there is no sales tax, 1 and 2 are going to be equal. So let's look at this. The sales invoice is $498. It was on November 4th, and this is a 2-10 net 30, so that means they're going to get a discount if they pay it off early. And the sales tax was $27.27, and so that's going to be added into the subtotal of $481.77. And so here's it all put together in a single sentence. So our accounts receivable is going to be the total balance. Sales makes up a portion of it. That's going to be the amount that was sold of inventory. So that, and then the sales tax is going to be the other part of the credit. And so our sales journal, we're going to put the name of the company, Wells Apartments, sales number, which was that sales invoice number from the previous page. That $481.77 gets listed first, followed by the sales credit and the sales tax payable. Selling price and markup, they're related because the markup is included in the selling price. It is the amount added to the cost of the merchandise above selling price. And the relationship between the accounts receivable ledger and the controlling accounts. All the total of the accounts is in the accounts receivable ledger, subsidiary ledger. It equals the controlling account, accounts receivable. And the credit balance is the only form, is a form not on the accounts receivable ledger form. What is the title of the general ledger account used to summarize the total amount due for charge of customers? And that's your accounts receivable. And sales tax rates are usually stated as a %. And sales tax is considered a liability because it is a business liability until we pay it to the government. So let's go ahead and look at an example problem. So let me go ahead and open up y'all's assignment. And so the balance is going to go in location D. I mean, let's go through this one at a time. Okay. So A is going to be the name of the company. B is the account number. And so it tells us the account number is 120. So that goes in B. Column C is going to be, or spot C is going to be the date. D is going to be the word balance. And when we're doing this on the computer, we're not actually going to be writing that in. And E is a post-reference number, and that's going to be, in this case, let's see, it does not tell us a post-reference number because we're just pulling over the balance from the previous on the account, so it is going to be blank. Actually, me a check mark. And the debit number is going to be blank. G is going to be the other blank. I don't know if it matters which one you put as which. I did not test it with either way. And then our debit balance is going to be that total amount that we pulled over. And so that's going to be that column spot H. And so let's go ahead and do a couple of these. On September 2nd, we have Lenny Stanford. I'm typing in funny on that. Let me just copy it. And the sales number is 221. We're going to leave the post reference blank right now. The accounts receivable debit is the total. And it tells us the sales tax is 6%. And so I'm just going to go ahead and fill that in last. I'm going to go ahead and do the $1,600 in sales credit. 6% of $1,600 comes out to be $96. And so the sales tax credit is $96, and the accounts receivable is going to be $1,696. Let's look at the next one. On the 6th, we don't put the word September this time. And this is going to go to Washington City Schools. And there is no sales tax on this one because this is a school. And so therefore the column 1 and 2 are going to be equal. And that is going to be the 680. And that third column is going to be blank. I'm going to pause it here, and then we'll come back with the next two. I want you to try to fill in the next two on your own, and then check and see how you. So on the next two, we have Venice Cafe, and this is not a school district, so we do have to pay tax. And we sold with sales receipt 223, and the sales credit, this is how much they owed, was $2,560. When we did 6% of that, you should have come up with $153.60. And you add those two together to give you your debit balance, which is that first column, of $2,713.60. And then on the 15th, we went to Washington City Schools, also had another merchandise sold, and that was $224. And this is a school district, so therefore no sales tax. So that means columns 1 and 2 are going to match. I want y'all to do your own on the own together and the application.